Hi, hello my dear students, a very good evening to all of you. Warm welcome to Turito live classes. In the previous classes, we have completed two chapters. In today's class, we are going to start a new chapter, that is coordinate geometry. So this chapter is very important chapter. We can discuss coordinate geometry in 9th standard and 10th standard, plus 1 standard and plus 2 standard also. So by using the concepts of coordinate geometry, we can discuss the remaining concepts in the remaining chapters and in the remaining subjects also. So that's why this chapter is very important chapter. So please follow very carefully. Okay. So coordinate geometry, we are going to discuss introduction to coordinate system. Okay. So lesson objectives. So what we are going to discuss in today's class in the chapter coordinate geometry. So in this topic, we will learn the following concepts. Introduction. So first of all, what is coordinate geometry? Next, ordered pair, coordinates of a pair, coordinate axis. Next, coordinate plane, coordinate of a point in a plane. Quadrants, position of a point in the coordinate plane, signs of coordinates of a point. So we are going to discuss these concepts in today's class in the chapter coordinate geometry. Now let us take the introduction part. So the French mathematician René Descartes in 1637 introduced the Cartesian system of the coordinates for describing the position of a point in a plane. This idea has given rise to an important branch of mathematics known as coordinate geometry. A plane is nothing but, if you take this board, so this is a plane. If you take a paper, we can take that is also a plane. On that plane, we have to keep one point. To keep that point on a paper or on a blackboard or on a laptop screen or on TV screen, so we have to use coordinate geometry. Okay. So the French mathematician René Descartes in 1637 introduced the Cartesian system of coordinates for describing the position of a point in a plane. So for example, if you suppose that the screen is a plane, on this plane if you suppose that this is one point, if you name that point as some A, to describe the point A on this plane, so we have to use coordinate geometry. So describing the position of a point in a plane. This idea has given rise to an important branch of mathematics known as coordinate geometry. So this concept of coordinate geometry is very important. So just I told you, in 10th standard and plus 1 plus 2 standard also we shall discuss about coordinate geometry. Now let us discuss the most important definitions and concepts in the chapter coordinate geometry. So if you understand these concepts perfectly in 9th standard, then you can easily understand the concepts of coordinate geometry in 10th standard or plus 1 standard or plus 2 standard. Now ordered pair. Pair is nothing but 2. Pair is nothing but 2. If you write two things, if things means numbers or alphabets, whatever it may be, if you write those two things in the order, so an ordered pair is a composition of two numbers A and B written in a specific order with A at the first place and B at the second place and is denoted by A comma B. So throughout mathematics, if you write one number like this, here we have the bracket. In the bracket we have two numbers, we are supposing them as A and B. In place of A and B, you can take the real numbers as your wish. You may take positive numbers, negative numbers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, whatever the numbers may be. So if you take any two numbers and you can arrange them like this in the bracket, then we can say this is an ordered pair. So keep A in first place in the bracket, take comma. Keep B in the second place in the bracket. So now this bracket is known as ordered pair. Pair is nothing but 2. Pair is nothing but 2. So we are keeping two numbers in the bracket by taking the comma between them. Now this is known as ordered pair. An ordered pair is a composition of two numbers you may take the two numbers as your wish. Written in a specific order with A at the first place and B at the second place and is denoted by A comma B, and is denoted by A comma B. So, by observing this bracket, here we have two numbers, we are supposing them as A and B, where we have A in the first place and B in the second place. Now, let us take example 1 comma 0. If you compare 1 comma 0 with A comma B, in place of A we have 1, in place of B we have 0. If you take minus x comma 3, in place of A we have minus x, in place of B we have 3. If you take root 2 comma root 3, in place of A we have root 2, in place of B we have root 3. So, you can take the numbers as your wish. You can take the numbers as your wish. If you take those two numbers in the bracket like this in a particular order, then we can say those expressions are ordered pairs. Those expressions are ordered pairs. Here we have one point, A comma B is not equal to B comma A. So, if you take 1 comma 0, in the first example we have 1 comma 0, that 1 comma 0 will be not equal to 0 comma 1. By observing the first bracket and second bracket, in the first bracket we have the numbers 1 comma 0, in the second bracket also we have the numbers are 1 comma 0. According to the order they are different, where the first number is 1, where the first number is 0, both are not equal. Where the second number is 0, where the second number is 1, both are not equal. So, that is why we can say A comma B is not equal to B comma A. Numbers may be same, but their order is different. So, 1 comma 0, here also we have 1 comma 0, but according to their places they are different. Where the first number is 1, where the first number is 0, where the first number is 0, where the first number is 1. So, corresponding numbers are different. The numbers in corresponding places are different. That is why we can say A comma B is not equal to B comma A for any two real numbers A and B. So, this is ordered pair. So, if you take the bracket, in the bracket you can take the two numbers as your wish. 0 comma minus 1, this is an ordered pair. 1 by 2 comma minus 3, this is an ordered pair. So, 1 comma 1, this is an ordered pair. You can take the numbers as your wish in the bracket like this, then we can say those are the ordered pairs. So, hope you understood the concept of ordered pair. Next, coordinates of a point. Coordinates of a point. Every ordered pair of real numbers in the plane is called the coordinates of the point. In the ordered pair A comma B, A is called x coordinate or abscissa, both are same. X coordinate is nothing but abscissa, and B is called the y coordinate or ordinate. So, if you find the word abscissa, means that is x coordinate. So, if you find the word ordinate, the meaning of that is y coordinate. So, just we have taken the example 1 comma 0. So, this is an ordered pair. If we compare with A comma B, in place of A we have 1, in place of B we have 0. So, this one is known as x coordinate or abscissa. The second number 0 is known as y coordinate or ordinate. Every ordered pair of real numbers in the plane is called the coordinates of the point. So, this point is known as coordinates of the point. In the ordered pair A comma B, A is called x coordinate or abscissa and B is called the y coordinate or ordinate. Okay. So, first number can be taken as x coordinate or abscissa and second number is known as y coordinate or ordinate. Okay. Next, coordinate axis. So, this is very important concept. So, coordinate axis means the position of a point in a plane is determined with reference to the fixed mutually perpendicular lines are called the coordinate axis. So, mutually perpendicular means the angle between those two lines should be 90 degrees. If two lines are said to be perpendicular means the angle between those two lines should be 90 degrees. If you suppose that this is the first line, this is the second line, if the angle between these two lines is 90 degrees, then we can say these two lines are mutually perpendicular lines. The position of a point in a plane is determined with reference to two fixed mutually perpendicular lines are called the coordinate axis. Okay. So, we have to keep one point on the plane. So, we can take the position of that point by taking with respect to two mutually perpendicular lines. Those two mutually perpendicular lines are called the coordinate axis. So, if you take this, here we have x, this is O, this is x dash, y, this is O and this is y dash. O means that is nothing but 0. Okay. So, where the angle between x O x dash and y O y dash means that is 90 degrees. The angle between this line and this line is 90 degrees. Now, we can say this x O x dash, y O y dash are called the mutually perpendicular lines and they are known as coordinate axis. They are known as coordinate axis. So, the position of a point in a plane is determined with reference to two mutually perpendicular lines are called the coordinate axis. So, with respect to this figure where x O x dash, y O y dash are the mutually perpendicular lines, they are known as coordinate axis. Okay. In a plane, the horizontal line is called the x axis and is denoted by x O x dash. Horizontal line means the line which is parallel to earth. So, if you take this is a line. So, if you take the this pen as a line parallel to earth, then we can say this is horizontal line. If you take another line like this perpendicular to earth or perpendicular to horizontal line, then that is known as y axis. In a plane, the horizontal line is called the x axis and is denoted by x O x dash. With respect to this figure, x O x dash is the x axis. Next, in a plane, the vertical line is called the y axis and is denoted by y O y dash, a line which is perpendicular to the horizontal line. A line which is perpendicular to the horizontal line like this, then we can say that is y axis. That is y axis, and we can denote that by y O y dash. Y O y dash. The intersecting point of x axis means x O x dash and y axis means y O y dash is called the origin and is denoted by O. So, throughout coordinate geometry, O can be taken as origin. So, by observing this figure, so this is x axis, this is y axis, these two are intersecting at this point. So, where x axis and y axis are intersecting some point. So, by observing this yellow point, so this is the point of intersection of two lines x O x dash and y O y dash. This is known as origin and origin is denoted by capital O. Origin is denoted by capital O. So, to the position of a point in a plane is determined with reference to two fixed mutually perpendicular lines are called the coordinate axis. In a plane, the horizontal line is called the x axis and is denoted by x O x dash. In a plane, the vertical line is called the y axis and is denoted by y O y dash. The intersecting point of x axis and y axis is known as the origin and is denoted by O. So, with respect to this figure, this is x axis x O x dash, this is y axis, that is y O y dash. Now, this x O x dash, y O y dash are known as coordinate axis. Coordinate axis means x axis and y axis. So, hope you understood this concept. Next, coordinate axis. So, just we have discussed about the horizontal line and vertical line. Horizontal line is known as x axis and vertical line is known as y axis. Now, the coordinates of O are 0, 0. So, just I told you the point of intersection of x axis means x O x dash and y-axis means y0 y dash is known as origin, Here this point of intersection of these two axes is origin, where we can take the coordinates of origin are 0 comma 0. Coordinates of a point means you have to take the ordered pair. In the ordered pair, if the first number is 0 and second number is also 0, then we can say that is origin. So remember, throughout this chapter, throughout coordinate geometry, the coordinates of O are 0 comma 0. O is nothing but origin. Next, the real numbers right side of O are positive, and in this case x-axis is called the positive x-axis. So in our previous classes, 6th class or 7th class, we have discussed about the number line. So with respect to that number line, if we take the line like this, so we can take exactly at the middle of this line some 0. If you take the numbers right side of 0, means this side, those numbers are known as positive real numbers. Just like that, if you take the numbers left side of 0, means this side, then we can say they are negative real numbers. Here also the real numbers right side of O are positive, and in this case x-axis is called the positive x-axis. Actually x0 x dash is the x-axis. If you take this part only, in this case this is known as positive x-axis, means on positive x-axis all the numbers should be positive real numbers. Next, the real numbers left side of O are negative, and in this case x-axis is called the negative x-axis. So with respect to this figure, so left side of O means this, left side of O or left side of 0. If you suppose that this is 0, left side of 0 all the numbers are negative real numbers. So it is not necessary to consider the integers. You may take integers or fractions, decimal numbers, means irrational numbers or rational numbers, whatever the numbers may be. If all those numbers lie left side of 0, then we can say they are negative real numbers. In this case we can say this is negative x-axis. The combination of positive x-axis and negative x-axis is known as x-axis. X-axis is nothing but horizontal line. The real numbers left side of 0 are negative, and in this case x-axis is called the negative x-axis. Next, the real numbers above the origin are positive, and in this case y-axis is called the positive y-axis. So by observing this, so above 0 all the numbers are positive real numbers. In this case this is known as positive y-axis. So this part, so this is known as positive y-axis. The real numbers above the origin are positive, and in this case y-axis is called the positive y-axis. Just like that, if you take the real numbers below y-axis, so the real numbers below the origin, below the x-axis, all these numbers are negative real number. That's why in this case this part is known as negative y-axis. So just we have discussed what is x-axis and what is y-axis. Horizontal line is x-axis, vertical line is y-axis. Vertical line means perpendicular to horizontal. The point of intersection of x-axis and y-axis is known as the origin, and that is denoted by capital O. The coordinates of origin are 0 comma 0. With respect to this 0, all the numbers right side of 0 are positive real numbers, and in this case the x-axis is known as positive x-axis. Next, all the numbers left side of 0 are negative real numbers. In this case this part is known as negative x-axis. All the numbers above 0 are positive real numbers, and in this case this part is known as positive y-axis. All the numbers below 0 are negative real numbers, and in this case this part is known as negative y-axis. So all these points are very important. So the coordinates of O are 0 comma 0. The real numbers right side of 0 are positive, and in this case x-axis is called the positive x-axis. the real numbers left side of 0, left side of O are negative real numbers, and in this case x-axis is called the negative x-axis. The real numbers above the origin are positive, and in this case y-axis is called the positive y-axis. The real numbers below the origin are negative, and in this case y-axis is called the negative y-axis. So according to this figure, this is positive x-axis, this is negative x-axis, this is positive y-axis, and this is negative y-axis. So hope you understood the concept of coordinate axis. Next, coordinate plane. So how can we say one plane is a coordinate plane? So we can take this board is a plane, white paper is a plane, blackboard is a plane, mobile screen is a plane, laptop screen is a plane. So how can we say that plane is a coordinate plane? The plane containing x-axis and y-axis is called the xy plane or coordinate plane. So just we have taken two perpendicular lines like this. So just we have taken, so if you take two previous slide, so this is coordinate plane. So actually this is the board. On this board we have kept two axes, x-axis and y-axis. Now this screen is known as, or this board is known as coordinate plane. So the plane containing x-axis and y-axis. Okay. On the white paper, if we take x-axis and y-axis like this, x-axis and y-axis like this, then we can say that paper is a coordinate plane. So on the wall, if we take x-axis and y-axis like this, then we can say that wall is also a coordinate plane. The plane containing x-axis and y-axis is called the xy plane or coordinate plane. Next, coordinates of a point in a plane. Coordinates of a point in a plane. If P is any point in the plane which is at a distance of y units from x-axis, y units from x-axis and x units from y-axis, then the coordinates of P are denoted by x comma y. So just we have discussed about the coordinate axis. On coordinate axis, right side of 0 positive real numbers, left side of 0 negative real numbers, above 0 positive real numbers, below 0 negative real numbers. According to those numbers, we have to take one point on the coordinate plane. If P is any point in the plane which is at a distance of y units from x-axis and x units from y-axis, then the coordinates of P are denoted by x comma y. So by observing this figure, so here we have, this is origin, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. If you suppose that P is any point on the plane, if you suppose that P is any point on the plane, you may take P here or in this part or in this part or in this part. Okay. So if you suppose that P is at a distance of y units from x-axis and P is at a distance of x units from y-axis, in this case we can say this is the coordinates of the point. So simply you can take, so here this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Here we can say 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis. If you suppose that P is a point on the plane which is at a distance of, so here y units, okay, according to this, so y units, here the distance from x-axis to P is 2 units and the distance from y-axis to P is 3 units. Now we can take the coordinates of P are 3 comma 2. So first we have to take x coordinate, next we can take the y coordinate. Now the point P, the coordinates of the point P are 3 comma 2. So you may take this side also, but if you take left side, you have to get negative real numbers, and top of origin, above the origin they are positive real numbers, below origin or below 0 are negative real numbers. So just like this we can take one point on the coordinate plane. If P is any point in the plane which is at a distance of y units from x-axis and x units from y-axis, then the coordinates of B are denoted by x comma y. So just I told you, where x is known as x-axis or abscissa and y is known as y coordinate or ordinate. So just like this we can represent one point on the coordinate plane. Okay. So if P is any point in the plane which is at a distance of y units from x-axis and x units from y-axis, then the coordinates of P are denoted by x comma y. So just by observing this figure, we can say the coordinates of P are x comma y. In place of x and y, you can take the real numbers as your wish. Okay. So hope you understood this part. Next, quadrants. So this is very important concept. So xy plane divides the plane into 4 regions and each region is known as quadrant. So if you take two perpendicular lines, means x-axis and y-axis on the paper or on the plane, then we know that is a coordinate plane. Where x-axis and y-axis are dividing the plane into 4 parts. xy plane divides the plane into 4 regions and each region is known as quadrant. Okay. The regions XOY, YO x dash O y dash and y dash OX are first, second, third and fourth quadrants respectively, and they are denoted by Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So here if you take the coordinate axis like this, origin, x-axis and y-axis. So if you take these two perpendicular lines on the board, now we can say this board is a coordinate plane or xy plane. By observing this xy plane is dividing the board into 4 regions. So this is first region, this is second region, this is third region and this is fourth region. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here each region is known as quadrant. Each region is known as quadrant. So quadrant means, so here total 4 quadrants are there. Total 4 quadrants are there. Here this is the first quadrant. So that is XOY. So the regions XOY. So this is X, this is O, this is Y. That is known as first quadrant and that is denoted by like this Q1, where Q means quadrant, suffix 1. Suffix 1 means that is first quadrant. Next if you take YO x dash, YO x, this is Y, this is O, this is x dash. So this part YO x dash means this part, this region is known as second quadrant and we can denote this by Q2 and we can denote this by Q2. Next x dash O y dash. So this is x dash, this is y dash. Here x dash y dash means that is negative, y dash means this is negative y axis. So this part x dash O y dash, this region is known as third quadrant and we can denote that by Q3. Q means quadrant, 3 means third quadrant, and one more region is there, that is y dash OX. Y dash OX means this part, this is fourth region. This region is known as fourth quadrant and that is denoted by Q4 like this. The regions XOY, YO x dash O y dash and y dash OX are known as quadrants. XOY first quadrant and that is denoted by Q1. YO x dash, that is second quadrant, that is denoted by Q2. X dash O y dash, that is third quadrant and is denoted by Q3. Y dash OX, that is fourth quadrant and that is denoted by Q4. So quadra means 1/4. Quadra means 1/4. Total 4 regions are there or 4 parts are there. Each part can be taken as one part of the total. So this is 1 by total, 1/4. Second, that is also 1/4. Third, that is also 1/4. Fourth, that is also 1/4. So that's why we are calling them quadrants. So quadrant means xy plane divides the plane into 4 regions and each region is known as a quadrant. So with respect to this figure, XOY, YOX, this is XOY, YO X dash OY dash, Y dash OX are called first, second, third and fourth quadrants respectively, and they are denoted by Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 respectively. So, hope you understood about the quadrants. Next, position of a point in the coordinate plane. Position of a point in the coordinate plane. So, already we have discussed how to represent the point on the coordinate plane. Here, by representing the point on the coordinate plane, that point may lie in any one of 4 quadrants. Total 4 quadrants are there, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. You may take the point P in any quadrant. Any quadrant means Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So, position of a point in the coordinate plane. If P x comma y is any point on the coordinate plane, then P lies on x axis, y equal to 0. P lies on y axis, y equal to 0. So, for example, if we take origin x axis, y axis, I am taking P is a point lies on x axis. Here I am taking y coordinate equal to 0, means you can take the point P on x axis as x comma 0. Why we are taking y coordinate as 0 when P lies on x axis? What is the meaning of P x comma y? The distance from x axis to point P and y axis to P. So, since P lies on the x axis, the distance from x axis to P is nothing but 0 only. No? So, I am standing here. So, what is the distance from myself to myself? Simply we can say that is 0. Here also the distance from x axis to P, where P lies on x axis, that is why we can take that is 0. If P lies on x axis, then y equal to 0, means for every point on x axis we can take the coordinates as x comma 0. Similarly, if P lies on y axis, we can take x equal to 0. So, in this case we can take the coordinates of P as 0 comma y. So, since P lies on y axis, then the distance from P to y axis. So, since P lies on y axis, then the distance from P to y axis is 0. That is why we can say here the coordinate of x is 0. So, simply we can say every point on y axis can be taken in the form of 0 comma y, 0 comma 2, 0 comma 5, 0 comma 10, like that. Next, so with respect to the axis, so P x comma y is any point on the coordinate plane, then P lies on x axis, then y equal to 0. If P lies on y axis, then x equal to 0. P lies on x axis, we have to take y equal to 0. P lies on y axis, then you can take x equal to 0. Next, if P x comma y is any point on the coordinate plane, then, so this is the coordinate plane. So, just I told you 4 quadrants are there. This is first quadrant Q1, this is second quadrant Q2, this is third quadrant Q3, and this is fourth quadrant Q4. Okay. If P x comma y is any point on the coordinate plane, then P x comma y belongs to Q1, means I am taking P in the first quadrant. I am taking the point P in the first quadrant. So, with respect to first quadrant, this is positive x axis, this is positive y axis. So, that is why you can take x greater than 0 and y greater than 0. Greater than 0 means positive real numbers. Next, if P x comma y belongs to Q2, Q2 means second part, second region. If you suppose that P is any point in the second quadrant, in this case you can take the signs as minus comma plus. So, here this is positive y axis, this is negative x axis. So, that is why I am taking minus comma plus, minus comma plus. Next, if you suppose that P is any point in quadrant number 3, where belongs to means, so P lies in third quadrant. If P x comma y is any point in third quadrant, so with respect to third quadrant, this is negative x axis, this is negative y axis. Negative x axis means x less than 0, negative y axis means y less than 0. If the point P x comma y lies in fourth quadrant, if the point P x comma y lies in fourth quadrant, then we can take x greater than 0 and y less than 0. This is positive x axis, this is negative y axis. Positive x axis means x greater than 0, negative y axis means y less than 0. So with respect to the quadrant, we can take the signs like this. If the point P lies in the first quadrant, you can take plus comma plus. If the point P lies in the second quadrant, you can take minus plus. If the point P lies in the third quadrant, you can take the signs as minus minus. If the point P lies in the fourth quadrant, then you can take plus comma minus. So this is positive x-axis, this is positive y-axis, that's why both are plus. So this is negative x-axis, this is positive y-axis, so minus comma plus. Here if this is negative x-axis, this is negative y-axis, so that's why we are taking the signs as minus comma minus. If you take this positive x-axis, negative y-axis, so that's why we are taking plus comma minus. So with respect to the quadrant, we can take the signs of the coordinates of the point P. If P x comma y is any point on the coordinate plane, then if P x comma y belongs to Q1, then x greater than 0 comma y greater than 0. If P x comma y belongs to Q2, means second quadrant, then x less than 0, y greater than 0. If P x comma y belongs to Q3, means third quadrant, then x less than 0, y less than 0. If P x comma y belongs to Q4, means fourth quadrant, then x greater than 0, y less than 0. Greater than 0 means positive real numbers, less than 0 means negative real numbers. If the point P exactly lies on x-axis, then y equal to 0. So just we have discussed in the previous slide. If P lies on y-axis, then the coordinate of x is 0. In the remaining cases, means if the point P doesn't lie on axis, if the point P lies on the quadrant, according to the quadrant number, you can take the signs like this: plus plus, plus minus, minus plus, minus minus. Okay. Here we have note, any point lying on either x-axis or y-axis doesn't belong to any quadrant. So any point lying on either x-axis. So for example, if you suppose that here P is a point 3 comma 0. If I ask you find the quadrant number which the point P 3 comma 0 lies. So don't say Q1 or Q4 like that. So when the point P lies on exactly either x-axis or y-axis, we can say that point doesn't belong to any quadrant. So simply we can say that point belongs to x-axis only. If the point P lies on y-axis, that point P belongs to y-axis only. So if the point B doesn't lie on either x-axis or y-axis, according to the signs of the coordinates of the given point, then we can say the point lies in first quadrant or second quadrant or third quadrant or fourth quadrant. Okay. So any point lying on either x-axis or y-axis doesn't belong to any quadrant. Okay. So this is the concept related to signs of the coordinates of a point. So this is very important. Okay. So actually 9th class just we can discuss the basics only. So related to coordinate system. In 10th standard and +1 +2 standard, by using these concepts we can discuss some extra concepts and we can do the problems related to those concepts. So that's why first of all we have to learn the basics. So if you are perfect these basics, then easily you can understand the concepts of 10th standard or 11th standard or 12th standard. Okay. Now let us do some problems. So far we have discussed so many concepts related to coordinate system. So what is the ordered pair, what are the coordinates of the point, how can we represent the point on the coordinate plane, x-axis, y-axis, quadrants. So we have discussed so many concepts. According to those concepts, now let us take some problems. Now problem number 1. Plot the point 5 comma 3 on the coordinate plane. So just we can draw a rough figure. So if possible you can take scale. So by using scale and pen, just you can draw two perpendicular lines. Plot the point 5 comma 3 on the coordinate plane. So first of all, what is coordinate plane? The xy plane. So if you take two mutually perpendicular lines on the plane, then we can say that is xy plane. Here I am taking, so this is horizontal line and this is vertical line. The angle between those two lines is 90 degrees. So if you suppose that this is origin or 0 on positive x-axis, so this is positive x-axis, so you can take this is positive x axis, this is negative x axis, and this is positive y axis and this is negative y axis. By observing where x coordinate is 5, y coordinate is 3, clearly they are positive real numbers. On x axis if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on. So infinite number of numbers are there on x axis and y axis. On y axis also we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. Okay. Now we have to take the point P 5, 3. Here where the x coordinate is 5, x coordinate is 5, x coordinate means we have to take on x axis, where on x axis we have 5 here. So you can take one perpendicular line like this, you can take one perpendicular line from x axis. If you suppose that this is the point P, where the distance from x axis to this P, and here we have y coordinate is 3. So this is y coordinate, this is y coordinate. From this point to P, if you take one perpendicular line, so since this distance is 3, you can take this is 3 units. So since this distance is 5 units, then we can take this is 5. So for example, if you take this is some PQ and this is some PR, where the length of PQ is 3 units and the length of PR is 5 units. The length of PR is 5 units. Now we can represent this point on the coordinate plane like this. So P 5, 3. So by observing 5, 3, 5 is positive, 3 is also positive. 5 is positive, 3 is also positive. So that's why we can represent the point 5, 3 in first quadrant like this. We can represent the point 5, 3 in the first quadrant like this, P 5, 3. So hope you understood, ma'am. Next, plot the point -5, -4 on the coordinate plane. So this problem is also just like the previous problem, but here we have two numbers are negative numbers. So let us take two mutually perpendicular lines, 0 positive x axis and this is negative x axis, and this is positive y axis, this is negative y axis, where x coordinate is -5, y coordinate is -4. X coordinate is -5, y coordinate is -4, means we have to consider negative x axis and negative y axis. So left side of 0 I am supposing this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, so on. So you may take some numbers, but here x coordinate is -5. Similarly on negative y axis we can take the numbers. So this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, so on, where x coordinate is -5 on x axis by taking -5 and y coordinate is -4 on negative y axis by taking -4. So this point. So from -P and -4 by taking two perpendicular lines like this, from -P to this point and from -4 to this. If you suppose that this is the point P, so if you suppose that this is Q and this is R, from Q to point P, so the distance can be taken as 4. So when you are taking the coordinates, you can take the sign as negative, but when you are measuring the distance, don't take the negative sign, because distance is always positive. So this part is 4 units and this part is 5 units. Now we can take the coordinates of P as -5, -4. We can take the coordinates of P as -5, -4. So this is origin. So I have taken this is Q and this is R. So from Q and R by taking some point P at a distance of 4 units and 5 units, then we can take the coordinates of P as -5, -4. So after this we have some problems like this. So after the class just you can take them and you can practice them. Okay. So 4 and you can take 4th problem. Okay. I have explained 2 problems. So you can take these problems after the class and you can practice them. So this is 5th one, this 6th one, okay, this is 7th one, like this. Okay. So we have discussed these concepts in today's class in the coordinate geometry. So what we have discussed: introduction, ordered pair, coordinates of a pair, coordinate axis, coordinate plane, coordinates of a point in a plane. So we have discussed, and also quadrants, position of a point in the coordinate plane, signs of coordinates of a point. So we have discussed these points in the chapter coordinate geometry in today's class. In the next class, we are going to discuss the mains model problems and advanced model problems related to the different concepts of coordinate geometry. So thank you all my dear students for subscribing to Turito. Have a nice day.